Most students think that GitHub is just a place to, store code.
GitHub is not just a place for storing code at all. It's a lot more than that.
According to you, what's the right way for a beginner to get started with open source?
Just pick up a good first issue, talk with the mentors and the code reviewers.
What's one mindset shift about open source and community?
Everyone has a fear of open source. They think that you can't mention it in your resume. Is
What about the community thing? Like
all about how well you are able to interact with people.
dark mode or light mode?
Dark mode.
Copilot, live server or chaos?
It's a lifesaver.
One programming language you defend forever.
C++,
What do you prefer, ship faster or ship perfect?
perfect.
Hackathons or open source contributions?
Do we have an option for both?
Okay. So hey everyone, I'm Athava, a first year tech student in Bangalore, Polaris School of Technology, and today we are going to have a small conversation with Himang sir on Git and GitHub. So hello Himang sir,
Hello.
can you give me a small introduction about yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Himanko Arshne. I'm basically working as a software engineer at Sienna. I'm a GitHub campus expert and I've been leading a lot of student communities and being to different places to talk about Git and GitHub, being a campus
Okay.
expert.
Okay, so let's just start our conversation with the first question.
Perfect.
So for someone hearing this first time, what is GitHub Partners Experts Program?
So GitHub Campus Expert Program is basically a student-led community
Okay.
where people from different community leaders come together and they have their own create an environment which is inclusive for all the students
Okay.
and have them grow and learn what GitHub is and create code and build something good out of it.
Like as you said, GitHub is a place to store code. So like most students think that GitHub is just a place to, store code. But what's the bigger opportunity they are missing? Like especially with the students program, GitHub students program.
So GitHub is not just a place for storing code at all. It's a lot more than that. And right now with a lot of things coming, I think GitHub's AI and Copilot and GitHub Actions getting a new features. There is a huge and vast opportunity for people to use GitHub in a very different way. It's not just I also go around and tell people it's not just for developers. It's more for also for content creators, writers, startup founders, and all. And it can be used for a lot different possibilities and not just for storing code.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's just talk about yourself. So how did you first get into development? Like was there a moment that actually pulled you into tech?
How it all started is it basically in our school we have different clubs.
Okay.
So I was a part of the IT club and I always wanted to be the president of it. So like having your own power to lead that club and making your own decisions, having a tech fest in our own school, that's how the interest built up. I was always being sent to different competition, inter-school competitions for web development, for graphic designing, and that's how I got into tech. And yeah,
Basically your interest started from the very first year of the college days.
it was back in school.
Back in school.
Yeah, from
That's
class
great.
10th.
And what pushed you towards the community building instead of just coding alone?
Yeah, again, all started back from the roots. But what basically happened and what pushed me more into it was a senior randomly came up to me, and it was all online during my first and second year of college. It was COVID, and a senior came up and asked like, "Would you want swags?"
Oh,
So I was like, "Yeah, sure. Like, who does not like swags?" So
right.
I joined Google Developers Student Club basically at that time, and I saw it's another community out there, and that's where it all began, like being part of different events, attending hackathons, workshops, and stuff like that. So that got me interested.
And what's the one funny or embarrassing coding moment that you still remember?
It's something like it could be a lot of things, like even right now I just delivered a talk and I didn't had my Git set up properly, and I just failed miserably in front of high school students. It
Oh.
can be a bit embarrassing at first, right?
Yeah.
So it always happens.
And what's the coolest or most surprising thing you have seen students build using GitHub tools or GitHub extension benefits?
I see. So there is a lot of things that the student developer pack offers that from GitHub. It's open and free for students. So people have been using it a long time. Like in different various hackathons, we go promote about it, and people are getting 70 plus programs and softwares for free licenses, which can help them build a lot of different code. From what I saw recently was it was an automated podcast application. So once you hear a podcast, you can like store the podcast ID, and it will fetch all the information from it, and it will add it into a library that you've heard it, and something and based on that library of things, it will suggest you different podcasts that you should listen to definitely.
And students are often confused about open source. According to you, what's the right way for a beginner to get started with open source?
Okay, so I think it's very important to know how to start with open source because people feel very scared about open source contributions at first. So, what I did a bit late and I should have done earlier was search for good first issues.
Okay.
This is a label that is attached to different repositories and open source repos that are out there, and you go to the issues, and there are also different websites that just fetch you this label. So you just search for good first issues, and you know that going through a very good open source project's readme file, they have a proper explanation of how to set that code up in your local environment.
Yeah.
And just pick up a good first issue, talk with the mentors and the code reviewers, connect to them over their maybe Slack channels or something, and just whenever you get stuck, talk to them, reach out to them, start making some small steps, like even editing a readme file can be your first open source contribution, and it is counted as very valuable since documentation of code is very important. So that's how you start. I
Okay,
take
so
baby
you
steps.
prefer like contributing to README files is also valuable and contributing to code. Like, what's the priority? So for that.
See, code documentation is highly important because when someone else is reviewing your code, they must understand how that code works.
Yeah.
And documentation plays a very important part. So even right now in my company, if I talk about, there a new person just joined in, and we had a very outdated document on new hiree training and stuff. So that person got stuck at one place because we didn't update the documentation, and a lot of changes happened, and like a lot of commits and pull requests were merged, and we didn't keep it up to date. So even if you are understanding the code base and able to document the changes as a newcomer inside that code base is a very valuable open source contribution.
And do you think GitHub Copilot helps students learn faster or does it make them lazy?
uh, I think it was somewhere I was delivering a talk, and it was professors asking me the question of the very similar question that what if students for their lab practicals and stuff start using Copilot and just copy paste code in their practical files. So what I tell them is that you've if you have you played chess?
Yeah.
So you might have played against CPU, right? Sometimes.
Yeah.
So you want to practice against the CPU so that you can get better and understand how the other person is thinking. So exactly what you can do, use Copilot for is when you're doing programming and if you're stuck at some places, Copilot can generate 10 different alternatives to the same piece of code. So you know that whenever you are going for an interview, the first thing the interviewer asks would be, once you've written a brute force approach to a code, they always ask to optimize it. You can ask Copilot to optimize your code while you are, preparing for something, for a technical interview, and then learn different ways and see what approaches Copilot can come up with. And then once you are good with it, once you think you are ready enough, just turn off Copilot extension and you can try coding yourself. So you're learning
While building, got it.
Yeah, perfect. That's how you start.
So basically, what you're saying is we should first, take suggestions from GitHub Copilot, but write the code on our own.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And how can students actually, use the college communities to grow, like instead of just attending the events for certificates or photos?
So college communities can be very confusing since a lot of people want to start their own communities, right? So we have one Java community, when we have maybe if you consider different communities have their own objectives. So whenever you are joining a community, make sure that you know that their goal, the community's goal, aligns with your own goal. Since if you want to go and build applications, why would you join a maybe a Python or a something? Okay, that any community like that. So maybe you would go and align yourself with Swift or a Flutter community or a Kotlin community and see how they have helped people in the past, and if you know their idea resonates with yours. So that's how you say that, yeah, this community is for me, and you can go ahead with joining it, attending events, and you know that you will be able to learn something out of it.
Right, got it. And actually, just coming back to the open source and community thing, what's one mindset shift about open source and community that took you years to, understand?
That open source is, like everyone has a fear of open source. They think that doing open source won't let you can't like mention it in your resumes, or it doesn't really help you out in long term. But you see that there are like so many programs out there. There are like ones from companies, like it can be Google Summer of Code, and around that they have built a lot of different programs. So people can participate and get like uh, rewarded or paid, if that's what you call it, way much than what you get in a company. So start with open source, you can get into it, and once you are thinking that, yeah, you have a grasp of it, start applying to these programs, see how you can build a good portfolio around it, and how you can apply to these programs and get benefits out of it. So there has been a huge uprising of open source, and there are a lot of companies going open source as well. So there is, I think, a lot of changes, and it's coming gradually, but it's still at a very good place right now.
So, coming to the last question. So, if a student is starting from zero today, like no skills, no clarity, and like he is just 18-year-old in a first year of the college, what should their next 30 days could be, or what should be their approach to start open source or the to get settled in the communities? Like what you could do in that situation?
So you basically want to say, like, if someone from scratch want to get into open source?
Want to get into open source,
Mm-hmm.
the first question is, what if he wants to get into open source, so what his approach could be?
Okay. So if you're starting out blank, and I think it's been a thing in the COVID times, everyone like started with AI, and they wanted to switch between their fields and domains, right? So they were starting from scratch. Like there were a lot of different fields emerging. Like data science got like a huge trend, and then now it's AI ML that's in a huge trend. So people are switching from like main uh, web devs or application developments, and then switching into these fields. So how they are doing that as well, start with a roadmap. Like there are a lot of resources out there, I know, and it gets very tough, how to select one tutorial, but stick with it and never, just keep on going into theory.
The tutorial hell thing.
Yeah, that is a term now. So not going into that tutorial hell, and then starting out, follow something, and then actually building something out of it.
Got it.
So that really helps, and in 30 days I think you can definitely get a beginner to intermediate skills of how, if you align to a technology and then start contributing for it. So again, you don't have to jump very deep and go into very core coding areas and
Whole
stuff,
tech stack of
but you
that.
can definitely like start slow, build something, you have confidence now, and you can start with good first issues.
Okay, and what about the community thing? Like, if one wants to get in the communities,
Mhm.
so how could he? start with that?
There are multiple communities now. So, GitHub Campus Experts being one of them. I was also leading Google Developer Students Club, basically the one I joined in my second year. So, started leading it, and then I became a campus expert. And there are a lot of different opportunities out there. I applied to a few as well. So, it's all about how you think and how well you are able to interact with people. These skills matter more than your coding expertise.
Oh,
Apart
okay.
from, how you are able to code, if you're not able to speak with people, then you're not able to, influence them, or basically you become a leader. You have to have a set of people that you can lead to a good direction. And if you have a way to, influence, if you have a good way of talking to people, you can get more people in your community, have them interact with each other, have a very good thriving environment where they are, building and learning stuff. So that's how you start with communities. It's not always, you can always start your own community. It does not have to be like, 500 people at once. I was handed over 500 people at once, but you can always start small. You can just be three friends learning something, and you involve another friend. And then you start gradually growing, growing, growing. And then you reach at a place where you're like, oh, we can probably have a webinar or a workshop around it. You can teach to your fellow juniors. And that's how a community can be established. It doesn't have to be associated with a company. It can always be your own college society, and then you start reaching out.
That's great actually. And now we are concluding this with a rapid fire round. Okay. You just have to choose this or that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. First question, dark mode or light mode?
Dark mode.
Okay. VS Code or JetBrains?
VS Code.
Copilot, live server or chaos?
It's a lifesaver.
One programming language you defend forever?
C++, it was my first language.
Okay. Hackathons or open source contributions?
Do we have an option for both?
Okay.
Because I think both are very valuable.
Learn from documenting or learn from documentation or learn from YouTube?
Again, like very tricky, but like you can always go for video tutorials if you are stuck.
Okay. Bug fixing or building new features?
Yeah, it's all going to be answered as both because you're very confusing. But sure, like either of them gives you a very good idea about the code.
But still, in priority, if you have to look for open source in a priority contributions, then what is it? Bug fixing or still the?
So you create a feature,
Okay.
and probably it will be a bug, and then you'll fix it and you'll just call it a feature.
Yeah. Okay. And what do you prefer, ship faster or ship perfect?
Perfect.
Okay. So thank you, sir. That was all for the small conversation we had about GitHub, and everything you gave, every knowledge you shared about your journey, like how you came, how you started with the community thing and all. So thank you for that. This was a wonderful conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for being a good host.
Yeah.